Welcome back. Here we are. What problem are you solving? The best innovation podcast tonight.
There you go.
Maybe.
The best one you've seen all hour.
That's funny. I thought you were like the best innovation podcast you'll ever see. Like tonight for the next hour, the best one you'll see. I'm like,
Everybody's
that is
hopping on the
truly
bandwagon.
funny.
But yeah,
That is truly funny, man.
Ty calls us some chuckleheads. I think he just chuckled out loud.
he literally chuckled out of his head.
I heard it.
Adam, good seeing you. What problem are you solving this week?
I'm gonna, instead of picking a different but related problem every week, the front door to the ecosystem problem. Geographic ecosystem.
I like it.
Same.
Very cool.
Ty,
what problem are you solving this week?
I got a private one I'll keep private, but it's a big problem. It's a family, but it's okay. But publicly, I'm solving the commercialization tech transfer problem. I'm just really putting a lot of energy, relatively speaking, into building that whole process for heretofore organizations that just have no clue whatsoever.
Yep. Yeah, problem
what about
solving
you?
This week.
Yeah,
Thanks
what about
asking.
you? You're welcome.
Hacking bureaucracy, specifically around purchasing policies, because everyone wants to hide how they buy things behind their own little internal firewalls, and that the process is not transparent. So
why would it be?
How can we innovate if we're not allowed to see it?
So I know we have a topic, but what the hell does that mean?
So I'm actually on an innovation team to help the purchasing department of an organization improve their process. And so I said, great, let me see the policy documents. Oh, you're not allowed to see that. I'm sorry, what? Well, we haven't given you access. Well, why isn't it public for everyone? Well, there might be this one word or this one phrase that's actually proprietary. Okay, take that out, or hide that one policy document, not all 100 and some odd policy documents. So it's definitely in they are currently in a need to know instead of a need to share model, and they need to flip that around.
That is crazy making.
Yep.
Like, why? Go ahead, Adam.
How are you gonna flip it around?
With a baseball bat.
Oh, what was that movie with Kevin Costner? It was like the Untouchables.
Field of Dreams.
I mean, where he goes in and you have
The Untouchables.
Robert De Niro goes, he's like, yeah, everybody will make sure we're going to do this, and you were going to make sure that you're going to make. He beats him upside the head with a baseball bat. Everybody clear? Yep. All good.
Yep.
We got it.
Nice. All right.
So wait a minute. Before you go, I know we got stuff we got to talk about. Hold on, Adam. Hold on. One second.
Love this.
John, wait a minute. So the FAR, this is a government agency, right? Mm-hmm. The FAR is a public document. It supersedes all of the acquisition policy. It says this is what, and everything after that is a derivative of the FAR. You can go to the FAR and see it, but they're saying
that's public. That is public, right? But then, because everybody's special, and I'm sure every innovator here has heard, I can't do that because my organization is special. They add additional policies on top. Well, when we do it this way, we actually have these other hidden rules that you don't know about. So, which is great because it's truly the innovator's dilemma, right? When you're trying to navigate uncertainty, and you come up to these things that, we didn't tell you about that rule. Well, how else was I supposed to find out about it? But I wouldn't have found out about it if I didn't do all the customer discovery, right, and be curious. So, I'll take that as a win. It's frustrating as all get out to find these unwritten rules, these hidden policies, these policies behind firewalls. But I wouldn't have known about that if I wasn't actually living and breathing the process. So it's a win.
What's the quote? Only those willing to go too far know where the line is, or like only those. I don't know.
Yeah, I like
only
it.
Those willing to
Sounds
cross the
about right.
line. Something. I don't know.
No, I think that's
All
about right. Go ahead, Adam. What you got for us tonight?
I've been working hard. I missed a week, so I've had an extra week to ask you this big important question.
And you missed last week was the best innovation show that was ever at 9:30.
Last week.
Last week.
I heard it was the highest. Highest reviewed show of the season.
You know, 14 people. Yes. But Adam, what do you got?
What is your definition of product market fit? And then you want the bonus question now, or do you want it after you answer?
So are you asking us to give us our definition?
First?
Yeah.
Okay.
John, you go first. You're always guide this. You go first.
All right. Product market fit. Okay. So it's a step above problem solution fit, where you've actually solved a problem for one person, and now multiple people make up a market. And so if you can scale up a solution that's repeatable, to be able to consistently solve that problem for multiple people of a certain customer segment, I think you're getting close to a product market fit.
All right. So I was gonna spread it out. Let's go deep on John, then we'll get to back. Where's the I'm trying to make sense of it. That's why I was so excited when we talked to Ash a couple of weeks ago. I was like, all right, start here. Start with the leaner canvas. This is who it's for. Where's the journey? When I was going through my show notes today, I was on a similar track where it was like, all right, I had problem because of the name of our show. I was hoping you go problem customer fit first. What's the journey? Like, where do we start? What does the journey look like? Is it?
Are you? Go ahead.
Is it problem customer fit, and then it's solution customer fit, and then it's give me a journey, and if it has to go through the business model canvas, maybe we do it that way. But what does the journey look like?
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent question.
Leading up to
that's an excellent question, because I think we'll all agree here, like, what problem are you solving? Number one question. Like, that's the very first step in your journey. Because you have to define the problem, then you actually have to find, are there any customers that actually have the problem at all? And then if not, good. You know what doesn't work, and you can either pivot or try a different problem.
You know, Adam, you actually go ahead. I'm sorry, John, because you just sparked something.
Keep going. Go for it.
So Adam, you actually offered something in that question that to me is a pretty powerful, and that is, what is the journey? And it seems to me that there might be a precursor to this customer problem fit thing. It's an identification of a problem. Like, so, you know, we've talked about the best time to solve a problem is when somebody goes, man, I wish somebody would, right? At least the entry to an investigation. They may have had, whoever that person who goes, man, I wish somebody would do something about that. It may have been their one issue, right? They could have said, I wish somebody would do something about that thing.
Correct.
But it's as John would say, it's a data point of one. And so what you're trying to do, is my sense, and Adam, thank you, because I've never really considered this, is to find the entry point of how many people come along that same space and time and go, man, I wish somebody would do something about that. And so now what you're starting to notice is a pattern of behavior before you can say, is there a customer problem? What's the customer problem bridge? I'd never thought about that before. I talk about it, but I never thought about it in terms of a process.
It's because Adam's the man. He asks these powerful questions.
Oh my God. Okay, can we stop now? Oh, we finished? I can't take no more. Can't take no more. Sorry.
Well, I do want to go back to the journey, but I'm going to try to. Someone should do something about that. Why? What's that framing? I like. Again, I don't want to just make this the follow on to the Ash show that I was dreaming about all the time. But
why not?
You know, because you said we all agree, and it's interesting. I think we do all generally agree on what problem are you solving, but that means that, you know, even the first episode we snuck in some solutions. What problem are you solving for you know, what was the solution, or what problem are we solving for the founding team, or what problem did that. What was the TSA thing? I was like, that's kind of a solution. So I think we're getting close. I like how we actually did get an answer. I liked how it was like, why is the mass market on the leaner cannabis? Well, it's because those are for corporate innovators, and we need to see a big market. And I totally agree with that. But I think and I think when we originally talked about, yes, this original thing is early adopter, problem, existence, fit.
Right.
Combined with what Ty just
said
about.
One more time. Say that one more time.
The sort of horizontal lines in the leaner cannabis between. So you got the market, you got the early adopters, you got the problem, and then you got the alternatives. And I feel like from Indianapolis, from where you and I did that workshop, everything to me goes back to what problem are you solving and for whom.
Yes.
But the other thing that I wasn't expecting to actually go into detail is about why, like the founder's point of view, what they're trying to accomplish, which you're saying like someone should do something about that. And it's like, why? Like, why should someone do something about that? Like, yes, it's sort of a problem to be solved. It is like someone should do something about that to make a bunch of money, to make someone's life easier, to make the founder's life easier, to do so. Like, Ty, talk to me more about like that moment where someone should do. Is that just seeing a long line somewhere and someone should make that line shorter, or is there more to it?
No, I think it really does come down to the founder's capacity. Now, this is going to sound, I don't know, metaphysical, but the founder's capacity to pay attention, right? That you come along somewhere, and that serial entrepreneurial mind is like, I'm always on the lookout. I'm not looking to solve a problem, but I'm always on the lookout for something that just didn't quite go right. I'm watching, being at the university, I'm watching students not being able to get their financial aid on time, or there's something going on in the bookstore, and I'm watching this over and over, and I'm starting to notice patterns. I think the human brain is all about pattern recognition, and early founders probably have a good way of noticing patterns that just don't feel, sound, look, behave right. And so what they end up with is, man, what's up with this? Why is this always happening? And so they start to go, oh, that's because something in the way that is normal for a human being to behave in the world is broke. It's just broke. And you're hearing people complain about it, or you're watching it happening in real time. I haven't diagnosed it. I diagnosed it. Boy, I can speak tonight. I haven't diagnosed anything, but I'm noticing things that just seem wacky. They just don't seem right. I think engineers do this kind of automatically.
So on that note, I think you can go horizontal and you can go vertical. I think the vertical piece is going to be easy, and that's more of the journey. Like, okay, now I picked this thing that doesn't seem right. I want to solve it. I'm sort of going to identify a problem. I'm going to find out who has it the most strongly, and I'm going to go through some journey that we'll get to in hopefully 2 minutes or less. But the unplanned piece of this, which is always the best part, on the horizontal, if you see, how do you know which one of those to follow? Like, they're always shiny objects. If you haven't built a startup yet, you don't have capital, you don't have a board telling you like, yeah, this is the problem we're going to solve. You keep seeing things, as a serial entrepreneur often does. Like, how do you know? All right, do you set up a 2-week sprint? To do this through every single. Do you just go off your gut? And this is the founder. Do you do a Fermi estimate, like Ash was saying? Like, okay, this is a big market, and I think, like, how do you? We all have that. Just isn't right. I want to solve it. And then you're like, okay, you get over. Do you keep a list somewhere and you keep going? Like, I think a lot of founders have this, not problem. Well, maybe problem. Like, how do you know which one of those to pick in the first place before we get into sort of the vertical piece of what the journey looks like?
Yeah. So I go back to, I read Walter Isaacson's book Jobs, and I saw the one with Ashton Kutcher, and I use this as a notice all the time in my classes. You go right before after he got back to Cupertino, he's sitting in the and this is on the video. You can see it on the video, but Isaacson talks more about it in the book, but he's like flipping the CDs in and out, and he's just watching people, and he's like, what the hell is it? There has to be a better way to do this. Fast forward, you have the iPod, 1,000 songs in your hand, the size of a pack of cigarettes or a playing card, right? And it was his capacity to notice things. It was his capacity to notice when things could be just a little bit better or a little bit less wonky. We all know the story that the iPod was not the first MP3 player. I think it was the Zoom. Didn't take off for whatever reason. But he noticed, Jobs that is, that there was something that just wasn't quite right. And so how is it that as a serial entrepreneur, he's able to notice that? Now, he is an uber example of that. I would admit that. But I think that people every day, like moms, they pick up on it. They know these things. They watch patterns of behavior. They watch people do things. The ones that are like John, who are engineers, like, I'm watching people do things, it's broken. How can I make this better? Right? And so not John, the old John, engineer John, would jump into the solution space. The entrepreneurial John would like, okay, let me do some confirmation. Let me confirm that this is really a problem, which I think then bleeds you over or moves you over into this problem solution or problem customer fit. I notice what they are, but I just don't know what they are yet.
So is the first step founder objective fit?
Say that one more time, please.
Is the founder objective? Is it founder objective fit?
Is it founder, is it founder? You see something that's not right. How do you decide? Is it, so you're the founder. There has to be a first step. The chicken and egg. We're going.
Yeah, you're really unpacking this. This is wild.
So
I think back to like Ikigai, which is the intersection of what you love, what you are good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs.
Yep.
And so usually it's opportunity, but if a good founder may have to balance all of these problems, may fall in different parts of the intersection points of the Venn diagram. And it's really trying to find out which ones actually align to their personal, to your point, founder problem or founder objective fit. I like the way you put that, because if you didn't care about it, I mean, what you love, if you didn't care about it at all, why would you waste time trying to solve it?
Right. So So I think if you're looking at the red, so the CDs are the red on the right. And now, when a team is like, is the right time. Ty, you talk about this all the time. Right team, right problem, right time, right? And those are the three things. Right team, right problem. Why you, why now? What's the other one? Why this, why you, why now? Is that what it is? Anyway, so all right, so the CDs, you're watching the CDs, that's your right hand red. And if it can be either what you love or what you're trying to accomplish. Like, I feel like it has to start there. So that's your mission. So that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're validating if the world actually does need it. So if you validate that, you sort of have problem founder fit.
Ooh, interesting. I like this.
And then, it's almost like what you love and what you're paid for are mutually. Because then I can go back. Are you good at, if you decide that you still want to solve, you have mission, and you're not good at it, you could still hire someone. Like, you could hire a team.
Right. You see exactly. Right. So, whether you can outsource it or not. Exactly. Right. But I would even simplify it and just say what you're good at means that you're good at finding a way to build it, whether or not you build it or someone else builds it. You're good at solving that.
So if you go back to, all right, so let's go back to a product for a second. Let's go back to product market fit. What's the journey? No, keep it. All right, you don't have to keep it up now. No. All right, so back to what we all agreed. Do you have to love solving the problem if the world really needs it?
unless you are financially motivated and you could do it just for the love of money and not for the love of the objective, the mission space, right? You're muted, Ty.
Even if you did it just for the money, is that sustainable, right? Because you have to be willing to solve a problem for somebody. Because
probably not.
I can say I have a crap ton of money and I think this is a problem worth solving, and I drop it in there and nobody buys it. You know, classic Steve Blank. The only thing that matters is what people buy. Everything else is a hobby, right?
Right.
And so I think that you're onto something. You're peeling this back, Adam, in terms of this idea of problem founder. And I wasn't thinking in 4 spaces. I was thinking in 3 spaces: problem founder, customer. Right. That's where my head went. And so this idea of the objective that you laid out, like you have the problem objective, you have I see something, the objective being outside, literally outside of me. I am observing this phenomena happen. Something's happening. I'm watching it happen, but it's not happening to me. It's happening to somebody, and I'm watching it and I'm noticing what's going on. And so it's me, the problem objective, and somebody's being impacted by it. And I'm trying to figure out whether or not it's truly what I see, whether or not I can do something for them, and whether or not I have an application, I have even a half-ass idea about what to do about it. You see where and I think it's when
I see exactly
you put that together, you're like, I think I can actually do something about this. Because then I think you have problems, you have problem solution, or you have problem customer fit, or whatever. I don't know what I'm even saying, but
so
it leads you down the
right,
path.
I'll jump back in there. What is a mark? Is there a difference between product early adopter fit and product market fit? Is it a scale? Is this a scale
Absolutely.
thing?
Yeah.
Yes. So I absolutely, I'm with John. Absolutely.
So when everyone talks about this, again, so we've gone 52 minutes or no, 22 minutes. No one said that definition, like, it when you see it, which frustrates a lot of people. And I was looking there was a specific post, when I was doing my show research, there was a specific post that went around recently. We'll find it and link to it.
Well, I do have a counterexample to that too. But we're not there yet. That's where I was building up to.
My point was, if everyone, I think it's a great term. I think it was relevant when tech startups were scaling, and I think it was relevant for funders in here. It's like, okay, what is it? But who cares? Like, is it really relevant to anyone anymore, or is it really only relevant to A-round VCs and high growth tech teams that don't really give a shit what product market? It's just everyone else who. So we can get into that part of the discussion, but it seems like I hit on something. So what's the difference? And is that the line? Is that more of a codified thing that it's only there really is market, product market fit? It is a scale thing, and it is not just. Is it just when you cross the chasm? Is that all it is? Is it just crossing from early adopters to fast followers? Is that it? Is that product market fit?
Mm-hmm. So I'm glad I have 2 screens, because when you see me looking away, because for those that are watching this, you see me looking away because I'm looking at my screen trying to figure out something. Now I'm not looking at John's children, and my kids aren't. If they pop up, I'm punching somebody in the face. Just kidding.
Yeah, right.
But and Adam, you sparked something into me in terms of, and this is what I Googled: early adopters, in quote, and early evidence. Right? Are early adopters early evidence that you're onto something? Nothing popped up, by the way. When I put those two Boolean, I think I'm doing this right, John, 2 Boolean indicators in to look at them combined in one thing, can't find evidence. I may not be doing the Google right, but is an early adopter or a pathway to product market fit as evidence that you're onto something?
Well, you were talking about crossing the chasm, right? Where you really should be focusing on solving the pain points for the innovators and the early adopters who, one, have tried to solve the problem themselves in some way, shape, or form, and two, are willing to take anything you've got, warts and all, so they can just start trying to solve it. And they're like, I'll take it. It doesn't need to be perfect, doesn't need to be polished. Help me solve this problem.
But so is that early enough evidence, though?
Yeah, by the classic definition, if I was some early stage startup and early adopters were ripping things out of my hand, I would think that I had product market fit. And so that's why I think some people get frustrated. Like, who cares what it is? Like, what does it even matter? What product is this? Is it some like unicorn? I think, you gotta have goals, but like,
sure.
So again, when I was thinking about this, like MVP, whether you like that term or not, it gives people something to talk about. Like, what is minimum?
Right.
What is viable? What is a product? It has gotten people to talk about going faster through the learning curve. It has gotten people to acknowledge, that the objective is like, whether you agree on the N's, the V's, and the P's. But I actually, when you send me the term sheet earlier today, like, who cares about what?
Yeah. I like where you're going with that too, because this does dovetail into the other definition I was going to use. So we're there almost, because I love words mean things, and I love the way you said it. When early adopters pull the solution out of your hands, right? Not take it, not receive it because you shoved it in their face. They pull it out of your hands, right? So what that implies is an emotional response more than just a transactional response. And so the pulling, right, is really like, okay, I can't live without this. That I need this more than I want it. Which goes to the other definition, which is kind of like, how do you know you've got product market fit? And I've successfully done this, right? When you take the problem, you take the solution away, and customers feel the pain. They exert the pain. So, for example, been running another podcast for over a decade, and the first couple times when we couldn't get everybody together, we had the show lined up, and then at the last minute we had to cancel. All of a sudden, we got all these comments on Facebook and YouTube, and like people with like crying emojis and like sad gifs and everything, and we're like wow, like, okay, sorry, we'll see you next week, but the emotional response that triggered, I was like, that is an indicator of product market fit, that the market is responding negatively. Mm-hmm.
Is there a case, Adam, and this is for you, because I'm going to counter, is there a case in the early adopter situation when you have early adopters that you have to go, oops, made a mistake, and go back and revisit? So even in the early adopter phase, it is iterative. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because, all right, so I have an early thing to your point about an MVP. It gives them something to play with, right? Something to touch, something to interact with.
They pull it out of your hands, but then
pull it out of my hand. But then they go, oh, it's not what I thought it was. What do you do with that?
Yes. So I in my extensive research, I think there's a difference between, activation or some sort of acquisition of 1,000 people versus retention from 10, right?
Exactly.
So I think the sort of purest answer is yes, it's for sure it's not a trend, it's not a false positive, it's a genuine, I need this and I need it again, right? Like, yeah. I know there, it's not just the value. What's the value proposition? Is it just value? Is it just value delivered? Yeah.
I'll get my whiteboard. I'll be right back.
It's just value delivered. Yeah. So, so I think for sure, like real product market fit has to do with retention and value delivery. Sure. The other thing when John was talking about, like, is product market fit just when supply is greater than demand, like when you sell out, like when you either sell out or you don't have the capacity to deliver. And then even in your case, it's like, okay, if we were being purists, like was that, I think in your case, it's almost still solution customer fit, right? Like, was there a market? Was it being paid? Like, if we go back to the EV guy, like, there's plenty of times where we think we have product market fit, but it's really, it's a freemium model, or it's just it's a podcast, and all due respect, you're killing it on that, but is that the pure definition of, are we hitting that, viability piece? So that was the other thing. It's either, is product market fit just when supply is greater than demand, or I had it here, is product market fit just feasible, desirable, and viable, but with an emphasis on the viable, right? Because product equals feasible, market equals desirable. Is that enough to have product market fit, or do you need the viability piece, to prove scale?
Well,
if it product market fit with one, this comes back to the early adopters or the scale piece.
That's a good point. And so the way my mind works around that scale question is, when I hear the word market, I'm thinking something like Tam Sam Sam, right? And to say, I can solve a problem for my mom, right? And that's just one data point, and I'm probably doing it out of kindness, not out of financial gain, right? And even if I was trying to get for financial gain, I wouldn't be able to survive. I wouldn't be able to pay my bills and feed my kids. So if you are truly an entrepreneur and you're trying to make that a vocation and not just a hobby, right, then your market needs to be great enough that it is more than one person, right? Because more than one person with that need defines a market. But then how big should that market be? That's a whole separate podcast on that.
All right, so watch this, and then I'll turn it back over to you, because we were talking about our friend and his whiteboard, who hopefully we're going to get on the show. Maybe we can make an actual theory or an actual algebraic equation out of this. So we talked about Ash, and we talked about founder objective fit. So your objective up front is some number that, whether it's usually financial, but some objective ahead of time that you either want growth or a number of people that
some
you
value
want to make,
exchange, right?
or even some value proposition. So like, I want to make 1 million people happier. I want to make $1 million. So it's your objective, and the market has to balance. So the market is a combination of both desirability and viability that fills and balances the equation on the other side. So you could technically have product market fit depending on your objective, as long as M equals viability. All right, we'll map this out.
I'm tracking you, but here's sort of here's another example of that too. Okay, so think about the SEAL Team 6 that captured Bin Laden, right? They were a very small market that had a need to get a very high value target, right? But there's only like the entire market is 6 people that are trying to go in, right, and capture someone. So from a special forces perspective,
I think that's a great way of closing and making me sound like I knew what I was talking about all along. Because the market is, if you predefine the market up front in your objective, it's a fixed-ish kind of. You can change it, and you hit hyper scale, and you're like, well, now my new objective is a billion. But yes, if you have a predetermined objective, your market is just a function of desirability and viability that fits that predetermined, and that's how you make this whole thing fit.
But that moves beyond, and I hear you, and I think that you're right onto something. I have no problem with the math, right? The theorem, I have no problem with. I'm curious about what happens as you walk in. Unlike the SEAL Team 6, right, issue, I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm just curious about solving problems, and I'm walking around and I watch people not be able to do a thing, whatever that thing is, and I'm collecting data, most of it observational data, about them not being able to do that. I don't know what the market side is at that point, right? I'm just watching a market appear
out of curiosity.
Watching out of curiosity, pure curiosity. How do I do that? Go ahead.
Which is why, again, not to does the algorithm know how to spell shit on the term? I don't think it's relevant. That's why it's not relevant to the people that we're talking about at first to just go after product market fit. Like if you're trying to raise $1 million and someone says, I'm only going to give it to you if you get product market fit, and you're all talking the same language and it's this inside baseball kind of a thing. But I think it's completely irrelevant. I think in the case that you're talking about, it's like the only thing that matters is each of these things sequentially. Does the problem exist? Do you still want to solve it? Is there a market? Is it big enough for you? Can you build it? How do you de-risk it? I don't think who cares about product market fit?
You're talking heresy like VC heresy, right? And I love it. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
It's controversial. I mean, listen, I went and Googled, like you were Googling way smarter stuff than I am, but there's plenty of people that have called this amount, already. That's like, how do you even, it when you see it? What does that even mean? Like, what does that even mean? I mean, I agree with you, John. Like, yes, people are ripping things. If you're in this high growth startup and you have a ton of money and you're in Silicon Valley and you tried 20 different things and now all of a sudden you're hockey sticking. But again, I think there's a million different ways to describe it. It's either hockey stick growth or it's supply, or things are flying off the shelves. I mean, I don't know. I think product market fit is another way.
Wait a minute. And they say, wait a minute. Yeah, hold up, man. I just met with this dude today who has some really interesting technology. And he was like, some super next generation technology in terms of AI and a whole bunch of other stuff. And he was saying, I'm out here struggling, getting my ass kicked every day trying to figure this out. Meanwhile, a couple of Princeton guys come along and they get $250,000, don't have a deck, don't have a thing, but they can get a check. Meanwhile, this cat has like major stuff on the shelf. I mean, like no kidding hardware. As a matter of fact, his one of his business partners literally created, check this out, John, literally created Miracast from here to here, where you can take what's on your phone and just throw it to your TV. He created that technology, right? Just amazing. But he's like, I'm getting my butt kicked trying to get 250. Is he getting his butt kicked because he got 250? He can't get 250 because he doesn't have enough PMF, or is there a fix? And this goes to bro culture, right? Is there a fix in the venture space that says, oh, you went to Princeton, you had so-and-so as your professor, you must know what you're talking about. Rip. And get 250K like that. I would suggest that what you're offering up is rethink the language. And I appreciate you offering up this reorientation of the language and how you get to PMF, whatever we're calling it now. So I just wanted to say thank you around that. It's pretty bold.
I don't think I did anything, but coming from you, I will take this.
No, I like it. You got me thinking, Adam.
Well, and I think the other problem you're talking about is just it's not fair, but I don't think that has anything to do with product market fit. I would argue that the other team probably doesn't have it either. And so
I'm going to try something new here. All right.
Nice.
Uh-oh.
We've actually got some comments, and we can actually talk about them in real time. So Matt says, be careful if the user versus the economic buyer is pulling it out of your hands. Don't ask me how I know that.
This guy.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Matt, what's going on, dude?
Hey, we weren't speaking about him.
No, not at all. But yes, that's a good point, right? So make sure that it's not just the person with the paycheck or with the checkbook. I mean, it's the actual user who has that actual problem, because it can be in an organization the end user and the person with the checkbook are two different people.
Hey, John, I use the 12-year-old user of a cell phone. Who's the consumer and who's the customer? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If I buy my daughter a cell phone, is she the user or is she the customer? And if I buy myself a cell phone, am I the user or the customer? Right. So,
well, it's just, I mean, it's problem solution fit, not product market fit, right? So if we go back to the other definition, if you're throwing in the viability piece there, that has to hold that space, then I agree with Mr. F over there.
And last one we got for tonight. To build on your conversation early on, this comes from Monty. Whether in a startup or corporate setting. This isn't Cheers, guys. You don't need to say their name every time we walk in the door. What metrics should founders be looking at to make the case that they're noticing things that can be improved? What metrics
Monty,
should founders be looking at
to make? We're not worried about
to
you,
make
Monty.
the case?
Making this shit hard, man.
Because someone's going to say, do you have enough data? Is this really a problem? You could have someone that would chime in and say, is it really a problem that needs to be solved, though?
Well, this is why I immediately go back to what's your objective. And if you want to explore something, every person has the right to say, I want to explore this a little bit. You don't have the right to ask someone for $1 billion to fund it. And this is why you have to do things in faith. Stage gate is a real thing for a reason. Like, you don't need to have the answers to the market. And I respect what Ash was saying. Like, you do want to do that estimate, but that estimate still is based on something that you or your stakeholders predetermined has to be super big.
Right.
If that's what everyone agrees.
Or as Ash says it, I love the way he says it, minimum success criteria.
Yep.
Can we all agree on what the value of solving this problem is? And if we all agree we're not going to get there by a certain point, we can choose to stop.
It's called research and development. It's called not development. The research part of research and
market research.
Yeah. Well, Adam, you actually, I don't know if you did it on purpose. You may have, or it was just.
Of course I did.
It was just. Of course you did. Of course you did.
I'm feeling.
But you started. Of course. And John, I'm gonna wave my finger at you because you didn't say anything like ding 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 ding. You know. Howard Stern show or something, like certain words get pirate metrics.
Yeah.
Right. Adam started talking about acquisition, activation.
Exactly.
And I think to Monty's point, maybe in that space, that space of what happens in the activation, you may have to rethink how you actually talk about the metrics, but that's the first interaction in the pirate metric schema of you working with the customer in terms of the thing that you have to offer. Because even early on in the pipeline of the pirate metric was it acquisition, activation, right?
Right.
I am acquiring their eyeballs. I'm acquiring their interactions with me. I'm acquiring their how many times they raise their hand and go, whoo, thank you. I'm acquiring how many times that happens.
Definitely a ratio of acquisition to activation would be an early metric, right? To say, we showed it to 10 people, all 10 of them said they're ready to start using it now. You've got good conversion numbers, right? Or
So we said a couple weeks ago, plug away. I've been waiting for the right time to plug my friend at Nascent Startups, Mr. Mike. If you put Monty's question back up there, I think there's an answer to this. I think what metrics should founders be looking at to make the case they're noticing things that can be improved? I mean, that's pure cut. If you really want an answer, it's 10 to 20 people that you interviewed in an unbiased way. Or observed, right? So I think we talked last week. Some people don't want to be interviewed. They don't want to share. I've noticed that some people do want to tell you their problems and talk about it. So I think the metric is 20 legitimate, unbiased, non-false positive customer interviews, to be honest. If you're making the case that you're noticing. Now, if you're making the case that you can improve it, if you're making the case that you can hit your viability objective, those are all different cases that need to be made, in my opinion, sequentially and not up front. But I do like the idea of de-risking all three: feasibility, viability. I was a big believer just overdoing it, just de-risk desirability upfront all the way. But again, I like what Ash was talking about. Do at least a back of the napkin viability and back of the napkin feasibility upfront. But yeah, I still think
just so you don't chase waterfalls. Yep.
With the classic, don't go chasing waterfalls. What's the name of the damn group? Jesus.
Wasn't
TLC.
was it?
TLC.
It was
TLC.
Yep.
I thought it was PMF. I thought it was PM Dawn. It would have been amazing if it was PM Dawn.
And you went to PM Dawn. Oh my God. So you asked a question. It was earlier, Adam, about John. Can I present? Do I have?
Yeah, you should be able to.
All right, let's see. Share screen. I want to share this screen, and I want to share this screen. So, can you guys see this about usability? Can you see this? Oh, you can.
We can.
Cool is that? Mm-hmm. So, this is the Norman Nielsen Group's notion of usability. And so, Adam talked about 20 people, but this is math, right? And the math thing is something like this: n times n minus 1 minus n to l to the what if you took the math? I didn't. But anyway, what they suggest is that there's a number at which you start to lose more information, and it happens at about 5 or 6 people, where you get enough. Exactly, you get no more information out of the usability associated with your product. And so they were saying that if you look at a piece of qualitative piece of information, after about 5 people, you get 80% return. You know, it's almost go ahead.
So yes, I was going there, but people just don't believe that 5 is enough. So I had to bump it up to 20. You got me on that one. But I also think I want to see the science behind how similar the users have to be very similar to each other, which is something that,
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, it's not just the users, it's the functions that you're testing in the product. You can't John is famous for teaching me and a bunch of us that work with, when you run a test, and by the way, that's the thing we haven't talked about tonight, is how to run tests. Right. If you run a test and you have 3 variables in your test and something changes, what was the impact? What impacted the change? You don't know. The same thing with, I think, Norman Nielsen. You're testing a thing, and you're getting whether or not that thing that you're people. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to 5 or 6 people and they're all saying the same thing, it's an 80%. It's remember, I mean, we're all old enough to remember the toothpaste 4 out of 5 in a survey said. That's what it was about, right? It's an 80%. It's an 80% of around usability. Cool. Move on. Test your next thing.
Which Google still uses in the design sprint, right? So they say show it to 5 representative users.
Well, that's the problem when you're really dealing with early stage founders. 5 representative users is
but again, I'm with you, Adam. If you can't find 20 people, then you have bigger problems about addressing the market right there.
I am really excited about this conversation. It was funny. I looked down. It was like 24 after. I look up. Now it's 48. We were 24 minutes in. I look back up. We're 48 minutes in. But I'm really excited about this conversation, and I thank you, Adam, for bringing the funk tonight, because it really is about how do you define that very early stage of identifying where this hiccup is in the person's life, in your potential customer's life, and then what does that mean in you getting this idea of product market fit. I think it's an important conversation, because it's one of those theological wars, right? In the world, like PMF, okay, what does that mean? Product market fit. People snatch it out of your hand. Okay, maybe they just wanted to steal it.
So Ty, any other final thoughts before we move on?
This was an exciting conversation. This was really good. I think that whoever is listening will get some stuff out of it. And I appreciate Monty and Matt hanging in there with us. Awesome.
Okay. Adam, final thoughts?
Here's my final thought. PM Dawn PM Dawn coming to talk about PM.
The break
thumbs
of
up,
dawn, break of dawn.
Are we talking about chicken sandwiches, or we ran out of time?
Well, that'll be next week.
Right,
Cool. Chicken sandwiches and speed versus schedule.
Yep.
Cool.
I love
Look
it.
at us. Look at us. We have a backlog. We have some. No.
Oh
we
my
have
God.
supply, we have supply outpacing demand, and we want to flip that around. We have content.
Wow.
We have a backlog in content. We want to. We have to invert the model.
You want to watch more? Head over to youtube.com/@whatpays. That's the short way to get right to this. Because
That's it. That's it.
we have our whole back catalog there. This has been fun. Thank you, Adam, for such an insightful, thought-provoking, made my head hurt episode. Let's do it again next time. All right?
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Awesome.
See ya.
Gents. All right.